My teen daughter almost took her sister's life with cough syrup, so I had her institutionalized. Now a year later, she's asking to rejoin the family. Most of my memories from living at home consist of getting screamed at and forced to grow up too soon. And by the time I was 9 years old, I was taking care of my 2 siblings and trying to distract them from our dad, wailing on our mom. I always craved an adult figure, a best friend who wouldn't leave me. So my baby girl Amelia was born. Me and my husband made sure she knew that she was a princess. But unfortunately, we spent her 13th birthday in the hospital because that's when her sister Audrey was born. Up until this point, Amelia saw me as her best friend, and I knew everything about her life. Boy drama, which teacher she hated, all the gossip. But the second Audrey was born, I cried my eyes out because she had cystic fibrosis with a lifespan of 30 years. Suddenly life became doctor appointments, medicine plans, and endless physiotherapy sessions. I would spend every evening with Audrey and making sure she was okay. At the time, I knew that Amelia noticed us spending less time together, but I figured that she was old enough to understand, plus my husband was compensating by spending more time with her. And Audrey was around 2 years old when Amelia got her first boyfriend. When she brought him home, I didn't even recognize his name. "Oh, is this Amanda's friend?" I asked, since Amanda was her best friend at the time. "No, Mom, we haven't talked in over a year. She has me blocked on everything." Her voice broke when she said this. It sounded like she was choking up, but before I could say anything else, Audrey started coughing so hard that she began to vomit, so immediately my attention was ripped away from Amelia. It wasn't until I found myself lying awake at 3 a.m. that I started to think about Amelia again. I thought about how her face used to light up as she jumped on the swings in the playground and begged me to push. But now I didn't even know what was going on in her life, who her friends were, what she liked to do for fun. My husband was asleep beside me and I didn't want to wake him up, so I just held his hand while I silently cried into my pillow. I spent the next 2 hours researching how to reconnect. All the mom blogs made it seem so easy. So the next morning when I asked her if she wanted to skip school and spend the entire day with me, I expected her to be thrilled, especially since I was ready to bring her shopping and let her buy whatever she wanted. But that's when reality slapped me in the face. "Don't bother, Audrey probably needs you." Her voice was cold, like she had already given up on me. I felt tears welling up in my eyes, but blinked them away to stay strong. "Honey, are you sure? I'll take you to Brandy Melville and give you a budget of $500. "Yes, Mom, I'm sure." She then left for school without saying anything else. Well, the way I saw things, Amelia had around 3 years left at home before she moved out for college, and I wanted her to feel like she had a home to visit. So even though I felt like shot, I didn't want to give up. The next day I picked her up from school, something I hadn't done in years, and drove her to this thrift store in Brooklyn. It was known for having amazing finds, plus I found it on TikTok, so I knew girls her age loved it. She didn't speak to me the entire time, but she spent 2 hours there, and the price came out to over $200. I tried to apologize in the car for not being present with her, but at the end of the day, she was just a 15-year-old girl. So when she ignored me, I didn't even take it personally. Over the next few days, I kept picking her up, and we'd drive to cool places that the other moms recommended, and she loved every single one. By the time Friday came, she had updated me on her boyfriend, and I finally knew who she was best friends with. Little did I know, those moments ended up being the calm before the storm. It started small. Audrey would have small coughing fits and mild shortness of breath, pretty much business as usual, but within just 5 days, she was sleeping all the time and coughing all night. It was obvious she was in a lot of pain, and I had no idea what to do. And in just 10 days, my life became the hospital again, spending sleepless nights in a wooden chair, not knowing if Audrey was going to live or die. Except this time it took just 12 hours until she was completely back to normal. It was so freaky that when I woke up, the room was filled with nurses asking me dozens of questions. Were her antibiotics expired? Is her nebulizer working properly? What do you use to clean her equipment? At first I dismissed them because I was keeping such a close eye on Audrey. I thought nothing would slip by. But I had this nagging feeling in my chest that wouldn't go away, so I decided to check for what the nurses were asking about. And that's when I saw it. In her nebulizer, the machine that turns liquid medicine into a mist for your lungs, there weren't any antibiotics. Instead, it was filled to the brim with water. My heart stopped, no effing wonder, and that's when Amelia walked in. I expected her to be just as shocked as me, but no. "Mom, ever since Audrey came into our lives, you're so tired all the time. Take what I did as a favor, and for once, don't try to save her." I couldn't breathe. My teenage daughter had just admitted to tampering with her sister's life-saving medication, and she said it like she was doing me a favor, like she expected me to thank her. I didn't scream, I didn't grab her or shake her like I wanted to. I was terrified that if I reacted too strongly, I'd push her away completely. So I just stood there, staring at her, trying to find my daughter in those cold eyes. "Amelia," I finally managed to say, "this isn't a joke. Audrey could have died." She shrugged, actually shrugged. "You wouldn't have to be so tired anymore. We could go back to how things were." I quietly replaced the water with the correct medication, my hands shaking the whole time. When the nurse called to follow up, I told her I must have made a mistake. I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what Amelia had done, not even Tom. That night, I laid awake watching Audrey breathe through the baby monitor. I kept thinking maybe it was just a one-time thing, a desperate cry for attention from a girl who felt abandoned. Maybe if I gave Amelia more time, more love, she'd never do something like that again. But over the next few days, I started noticing things. Audrey's stuffed animals would be in strange places. Once I found her favorite teddy bear face down in the toilet. Medicine bottles that should have been full were half empty, even though I hadn't given her an extra dose. One afternoon, I caught Amelia standing outside the bathroom door while I was giving Audrey a shower, just listening to her cough. I finally broke down and told Tom what was happening. He was exhausted from working overtime and brushed it off. "She's a teenager, babe. They do dramatic things for attention. Just keep an eye on things, but don't overreact." So I started keeping a log. I wrote down every medication, who gave it, what time. I noted where Amelia was during Audrey's treatments. I started locking locking up the medications and hiding the key. Our home, which was already tense, became a minefield. Amelia seemed to sense the change. She got colder, more distant. At dinner, she'd make these passive-aggressive comments like, "Wow, Audrey's getting so much attention for eating 3 bites of food. I got straight A's last semester and you guys didn't even notice." I tried including her in activities with Audrey, asking her to help with gentle physiotherapy or read her a bedtime story. Sometimes she'd refuse outright. Other times she'd agree, but do it with this forced smile that made my skin crawl. Things got worse at school too. Her grades tanked. She got into an argument with her math teacher that was so bad the school called us in for a meeting. The guidance counselor mentioned she seemed unusually angry lately and asked if everything was okay at home. I just nodded and smiled, too ashamed to tell the truth. Then last night, I walked into Audrey's room to set up her evening nebulizer treatment and found it filled with soapy water. Not just water this time, water with dish soap mixed in. If I hadn't checked, it would have gone straight into my baby's lungs. I confronted Amelia in her room. "Did you put soap in Audrey's nebulizer? Are you serious right now?" She looked genuinely insulted. "Why would I do that? God, Mom, you're getting so paranoid. It's not my fault you can't keep track of Audrey's stuff." Then she started crying, these loud, dramatic sobs that brought Tom running. He found me standing over Amelia, who was curled up on her bed crying. He was furious with me. "What the hell are you doing?" he hissed, pulling me into the hallway. "She's just a kid. You can't keep accusing her of trying to hurt her sister." "But Tom, I found soap in the nebulizer. Someone put it there." "Maybe you did it by accident. You're exhausted. You're not thinking clearly. Just go check on Audrey and leave Amelia alone." I felt so alone, so crazy. Was I imagining things? Was I so sleep deprived that I was mixing up soap and medication? This morning, Audrey woke up struggling to breathe. Her lips were turning blue. We rushed her to the ER, where they found traces of chemicals in her system that weren't part of her normal treatment. The doctor pulled me aside and asked if anyone else had access to her medications. I couldn't lie anymore. I told them everything. The water, the soap, Amelia's behavior. They're running more tests now. Audrey's stable but still in the hospital. Tom is finally taking this seriously after the doctor showed him the test results. I don't know what happens next. I don't know how to protect one daughter from the other. I don't know how we got here or how to fix it. All I know is that the little girl I raised, the one I thought I knew better than anyone, has become someone I don't recognize at all. I stayed at the hospital with Audrey that night. Tom went home to be with Amelia, which made me nervous, but I couldn't leave Audrey alone. Not now. The hospital chair was even more uncomfortable than I remembered, and I kept jerking awake every time Audrey coughed or a nurse came in to check her vitals. Around 3 a.m., I got a text from Tom. "Amelia's asleep. Everything's fine at home. Try to get some rest." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that maybe this was all just a horrible misunderstanding, that Amelia wasn't actually trying to hurt her sister, that I wasn't completely failing as a mother. The next morning, the doctor came in with Audrey's test results. They found traces of household cleaner in her system, the kind we keep under the kitchen sink. The doctor asked if Audrey could have gotten into it herself. I almost laughed. Audrey was too. We kept all cleaning supplies locked up specifically because of her. There was only one way that stuff got into her system. "Mrs. Davis, I need to be clear about something," the doctor said, lowering her voice. "If we suspect intentional harm to a minor, we're legally required to report it." My stomach dropped. "CPS police." Our family splashed across the local news. Amelia taken away in handcuffs. I couldn't let that happen. "It was an accident," I said quickly. "I've been cleaning her nebulizer with that solution. I must not have rinsed it properly." The lie tasted bitter in my mouth. The doctor didn't look convinced, but she nodded slowly. "I strongly recommend switching to vinegar for cleaning her equipment and being more thorough with rinsing." I nodded, tears welling up. "Can I take her home today? Let's keep her one more night for observation. If her levels continue improving, discharge tomorrow morning." I texted Tom the update. He replied that he'd taken the day off work to stay with Amelia. I felt a wave of relief knowing he was finally taking this seriously. When I got home the next day with Audrey, the house was spotless. Tom had cleaned everything. Amelia was sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, looking completely normal. She even smiled when we walked in. "Hey, Mom." "Hey, Audrey Bug." She used the nickname she'd given Audrey when she was born, before everything went wrong. I tensed up, clutching Audrey tighter. "Hi, honey." Tom pulled me aside while Amelia continued working on her math problems. "I had a long talk with her," he whispered. "She swears she didn't do anything to Audrey's medication. She thinks you're blaming her because you're stressed and sleep deprived." "Tom, she admitted it to me. She literally said she did it as a favor so I wouldn't be tired anymore." He ran his hand through his hair. "She says you misunderstood, that she was talking about something else, offering to help more with Audrey's care." I stared at him. "You believe her?" "I don't know what to believe," he admitted. "But she's our daughter too, Jen. We can't just assume the worst." I looked over at Amelia, bent over her textbook, twirling her hair the way she'd done since she was little. She looked so normal, so much like my little girl. Had I imagined the whole thing? I knew what I heard, what I saw. "I'm moving Audrey's crib into our bedroom," I told Tom, just temporarily. He didn't argue, which told me he wasn't completely convinced by Amelia's story either. That night, I set up a makeshift nursery in the corner of our bedroom. I moved all of Audrey's medications into our bathroom and installed a child-proof lock on the door. Tom watched me silently, his face grim. "This isn't sustainable," he finally said as I triple-checked the lock. "It doesn't have to be forever, just until we figure things out." But what did figuring things out even mean? I couldn't send my 15-year-old daughter away. I couldn't have her arrested, but I also couldn't let her near Audrey's medical equipment. The next few days were tense. I barely slept, jumping at every sound in the night. Amelia acted completely normal, going to school, doing homework, even offering to help with dishes after dinner. But I caught her watching me sometimes, with this look I couldn't quite read. One afternoon, while Amelia was at school, I called my sister Rachel. She lived across the country, and we weren't weren't super close, but I needed to talk to someone who wasn't Tom. Holy shit, Jen, she said after I told her everything. Have you thought about getting Amelia into therapy? I had, of course. But how do you tell a therapist your teenager might be trying to call her toddler sister? What if they reported us? What if they took both girls away? I'm scared, I admitted. What if she's really, I can't even say it, sociopathic? Rachel finished for me. Look, I'm not saying she is, but even if she's just acting out for attention, this is way beyond normal teenage rebellion. She needs help, and so do you. After we hung up, I sat in my car and cried for 20 minutes. Then I pulled myself together and called a child psychologist. I made an appointment for Amelia for the following week, telling the receptionist it was for adjustment issues related to her sister's illness. Not a complete lie. That night at dinner, I told Amelia about the appointment. It's just someone to talk to, I said, trying to sound casual. A lot of kids with chronically ill siblings benefit from therapy. Amelia's fork clattered onto her plate. You think I'm crazy? No, honey, not at all. You're sending me to a shrink because you think I'm trying to hurt Audrey? Her voice was rising. I'm not crazy, Mom. Tom stepped in. No one said you were crazy, Amelia, but this has been hard on all of us and on all of us? She laughed, this horrible, bitter sound I'd never heard from her before. You two have no idea what it's been like for me. One day I'm your whole world and the next I might as well not exist. That's not true, I said, reaching for her hand. She yanked it away. You moved her into your room. You lock up everything like I'm some kind of monster. You don't trust me with my own sister. I didn't know what to say because she was right. I didn't trust her. Not anymore. She stormed off to her room, slamming the door so hard a picture fell off the wall. Tom and I just sat there in silence, Audrey babbling happily in her high chair, oblivious to the tension. Maybe therapy isn't the worst idea, Tom finally said. The next morning, Amelia acted like nothing had happened. She ate breakfast, kissed Audrey on the head, and left for school without mentioning our fight. I spent the day on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped that afternoon. I was giving Audrey her bath when I realized I'd forgotten her towel. I ran to the linen closet, grabbed one, and hurried back, all in maybe 30 seconds. When I returned, Amelia was standing in the bathroom doorway, just watching Audrey splash in the tub. What are you doing? I asked, my heart racing. She shrugged. Just saying hi to Audrey. Is that a crime now? I wrapped Audrey in the towel and picked her up, holding her close. No, of course not. But I couldn't shake the feeling that if I'd been gone any longer, something might have happened. I didn't let Audrey out of my sight for the rest of the day. That night, I told Tom I wanted to install cameras in the house. Just basic security cameras in the common areas and Audrey's room. He thought I was overreacting, but after some arguing, he reluctantly agreed. I ordered them online that night and paid extra for next day delivery. They arrived while Amelia was at school, and Tom helped me set them up. We put one in the living room, one in the kitchen, one in our bedroom where Audrey now slept, and one in the hallway outside the bathroom. I downloaded the app on my phone so I could check the feeds anytime. I didn't tell Amelia about the cameras. I told myself it was for everyone's safety, but deep down, I knew I was spying on my own daughter. The guilt was overwhelming, but not as strong as my fear for Audrey. The first few days with the cameras were uneventful. Amelia went to school, came home, did homework, watched TV, normal teenage stuff. She still wasn't talking to me much, but she wasn't doing anything suspicious either. I started to wonder if maybe I really was losing my mind from stress and sleep deprivation. Then, 5 days after we installed the cameras, it happened. I was at the grocery store with Audrey, and Tom was working late. Amelia was home alone. I checked the camera feed on my phone while waiting in the checkout line, just out of habit. Amelia was in our bedroom, where she had no reason to be. She was standing over Audrey's crib, which was empty because Audrey was with me. She was holding something in her hand, sprinkling it onto Audrey's sheets. I zoomed in as much as I could, but couldn't make out what it was. I abandoned my cart right there in the checkout line and raced home, my hands shaking so badly I could barely drive. When I burst through the front door with Audrey on my hip, Amelia was sitting on the couch watching Netflix, looking completely innocent. Hey, she said, barely glancing up. You're back early. I forgot my wallet. I lied, heading straight for my bedroom. I put Audrey and her playpen in the living room first, not wanting her anywhere near whatever Amelia had put in her crib. The sheets looked normal. I ran my hand over them and felt something gritty. Lifting my fingers to my nose, I detected a faint chemical smell. I stripped the bed completely and stuffed everything into a plastic bag to show Tom later. When I came back to the living room, Amelia was playing with Audrey, making her giggle with a stuffed animal. They looked so normal, so sweet together. If I hadn't seen the video, I would never have suspected anything was wrong. I'm going to wash these, I said, holding up the bag of bedding. They got a little musty. Amelia just nodded, continuing to play with Audrey. I took the sheets to our laundry room, but instead of washing them, I hid the bag on the top shelf. Evidence. That night, after Amelia went to bed, I showed Tom the video and the sheets. He rubbed some of the gritty substance between his fingers and smelled it. It's laundry detergent, he said quietly. Powdered detergent. My blood ran cold. If Audrey had slept on those sheets, the powder would have irritated her skin and lungs. With her CF, it could have triggered a serious respiratory episode. Tom finally looked as scared as I felt. We need to do something, he said. This isn't normal teenage acting out. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. The therapy appointment is tomorrow. I'll take her. And then what? We can't keep living like this, Jen. I'm scared to leave you and Audrey alone with her. I didn't have an answer. I just cried harder, and Tom held me while I fell apart. The next morning, I drove Amelia to her therapy appointment. She was silent in the car, staring out the window with her earbuds in. I wondered what was going through her mind, if she knew that I knew what she'd done. The therapist, Dr. Patel, asked to speak with Amelia alone first. I sat in the waiting room, checking the home cameras on my phone every few minutes, even though Tom was home with Audrey. After about 45 minutes, Dr. Patel called me in. Amelia was sitting on the couch, her face blotchy like she'd been crying. Dr. Patel asked her if it was okay to discuss some things with me present, and Amelia nodded without looking at me. Amelia has shared some of her feelings about the changes in your family since Audrey was born, Dr. Patel began. She feels very displaced and forgotten. I nodded, guilt washing over me. I know we haven't given her as much attention. Audrey's care is just so demanding. Dr. Patel held up a hand. I understand the challenges of having a child with CF, but from Amelia's perspective, she went from being the center of your world to barely registering on your radar. That's a traumatic shift for a teenager. Amelia was picking at a loose thread on her jeans, still not looking at me. However, Dr. Patel continued, her voice taking on a more serious tone. Amelia has denied any involvement with tampering with Audrey's medications or belongings. She says you've been accusing her of trying to harm her sister, and she feels deeply hurt by these accusations. I opened my mouth to protest, to tell Dr. Patel about the video, the detergent, the nebulizer filled with soap water, but something stopped me. If I revealed everything now, what would happen? Would Amelia be taken away? Would our family be torn apart even more? I've been very stressed, I said instead. Maybe I've been jumping to conclusions. Dr. Patel looked at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. I'd like to see Amelia twice a week for now, and I think family therapy would be beneficial as well. I agreed, and we set up the appointments. On the drive home, Amelia finally spoke. I didn't do those things, Mom. I swear. I gripped the steering wheel tighter. Then who did, Amelia? The nebulizer doesn't fill itself with soap water. I don't know. Maybe you did it by accident. You're always so tired. I pulled the car over to the side of the road and turned to face her. Amelia, look at me. I saw you on the camera yesterday. I saw you putting something in Audrey's crib. Her face went pale. You're spying on me? I'm protecting Audrey. What was that powder, Amelia? What were you putting on her sheets? She unbuckled her seatbelt and reached for the door handle. I can't believe you put cameras in the house to spy on me. I'm walking home. I grabbed her arm. No, you're not. What was the powder? She yanked her arm away. It was baby powder, okay? I was just trying to help. You're always complaining about how Audrey gets diaper rash, and I read online that baby powder helps. I stared at her. Could that be true? Had I completely misinterpreted what I saw? But then why was it gritty? Why did it smell like chemicals? Show me the baby powder when we get home, I said. She rolled her eyes. Fine, whatever. When we got home, Amelia stormed straight to her room and slammed the door. I checked on Audrey, who was napping in her playpen, while Tom worked on his laptop nearby. Then I went to Amelia's room and knocked. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Amelia, open the door. Show me the baby powder. Still nothing. I tried the handle. Locked. My heart started racing. Amelia, open this door right now or I'm getting the key. I heard movement inside, then the lock clicked. Amelia opened the door just enough to thrust a container at me. Here, happy now? It was baby powder. But when I opened it and smelled it, it didn't match what I'd found on the sheets. This smelled like talc and perfume. The stuff on the sheets had been sharper, chemical. This isn't what you put on Audrey's sheets. She threw up her hands. Oh my God, Mom, nothing I do is ever going to be good enough for you, is it? You've already decided I'm some kind of monster. She slammed the door in my face. I stood there, the baby powder in my hand, completely lost. Was I wrong? Was I so desperate to find an explanation for Audrey's mysterious illness that I was blaming Amelia unfairly? But then I remembered what she'd said that first time, standing over the nebulizer filled with water. Take what I did as a favor, and for once don't try to save her. She had admitted it. I wasn't crazy. I went back to our bedroom and checked the bag of sheets again. The powder was definitely not baby powder. I took a small sample and put it in a plastic baggie, then hid it in my purse. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but it felt important to keep it. That night, Tom and I had a long talk after both girls were asleep. I showed him the baby powder Amelia had given me and explained why I didn't think it matched what was on the sheets. Maybe we should send the powder to a lab, he suggested. Get it tested. And then what? If it turns out to be something harmful, do we call the police on our own daughter? He put his head in his hands. I don't know, Jen. I just don't know anymore. We decided to keep the cameras up and continue with Amelia's therapy. Tom would take more time off work to help with Audrey, and we'd never leave the girls alone together. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was all we had. The next week was exhausting but uneventful. Amelia went to therapy twice, and Dr. Patel reported that she was opening up more about her feelings of abandonment. I tried to spend more one-on-one time with Amelia, taking her shopping or just sitting with her while she did homework. She was still distant, but not as hostile. Then one night, I woke up around 2 a.m. to check on Audrey and found her burning with fever. Her breathing was labored, and when I picked her up, she felt limp in my arms. Tom, wake up! I shook him frantically. Something's wrong with Audrey. We rushed her to the ER, leaving Amelia asleep at home. She was 15, old enough to be alone for a few hours in an emergency. The doctors immediately took Audrey back for tests. Her oxygen levels were dangerously low. While we waited for news, I checked the camera feeds on my phone, more out of habit than suspicion. Amelia was still in bed, apparently asleep. I scrolled back through the evening's footage to see if anything unusual had happened. Around midnight, the camera caught Amelia entering our bedroom. She stood over Audrey's crib for a few minutes, just watching her sleep. Then she reached down and seemed to adjust Audrey's blanket before leaving. Nothing obviously sinister, but it made me uneasy. The doctor came out looking grave. Audrey's system shows traces of a common household medication, one that's extremely dangerous for someone with CF. Did she get into any medicine cabinets at home? My blood ran cold. What medication? It appears to be a cough suppressant with dextromethorphan. For a child with CF, suppressing the cough reflex can be life-threatening since coughing is how they clear their lungs. I shook my head. We don't keep cough medicine in the house specifically because of her CF. The doctors told us never to give it to her. The doctor frowned. Well, it's definitely in her system. We're working to flush it out now, but she'll need to stay in the ICU for monitoring. I pulled up the camera app again and replayed the midnight footage, zooming in as much as I could. This time, I noticed something I'd missed before. Amelia wasn't adjusting Audrey's blanket. She was holding something over her face, a small medicine cup. I showed Tom the video, my hands shaking. She gave her cough medicine. She knows Audrey can't have that. Every CF parent knows that. Tom's face went ashen. I'll call my mom to go stay at the house with Amelia. Don't tell her why. While Tom made the call, I pulled up the footage from earlier in the evening. Around 10 p.m., Amelia had gone into our bathroom, the one where we kept our toiletries but not Audrey's medications. She emerged a few minutes later with something small in her hand that she slipped into her pocket. I remembered the bottle of NyQuil in our medicine cabinet from when Tom had a cold last month. We'd kept it separate from Audrey's medications, thinking it was safe since it wasn't part of her care routine. I never imagined Amelia would use it against her. Tom's mother arrived at our house within an hour. We told her Audrey was having CF complications and needed to stay at the hospital, but we didn't mention our suspicions about Amelia. Audrey spent 3 days in the ICU. I barely left her side, sleeping in the hospital chair and showering in the patient bathroom. Tom split his time between the hospital and home, trying to maintain some normalcy for Amelia. Dr. Patel came to the hospital to meet with us, and we finally told her everything. The nebulizer, the powder on the sheets, the cough medicine. This is beyond my expertise, she admitted. Amelia needs more intensive psychiatric evaluation. I'm concerned about Munchausen by proxy, but in reverse, instead of making Audrey sick to get attention for herself, she may be making Audrey sick to get attention for Audrey, thus taking it away from her. It was the first time someone had put a name to what was happening, and it hit me like a truck. This wasn't just teenage jealousy. This was a serious psychiatric issue. What do we do? I asked, feeling more helpless than ever. I'm going to refer you to a colleague who specializes in family trauma and personality disorders in adolescents. In the meantime, Amelia should not be left alone with Audrey under any circumstances, and you might want to consider temporary alternative living arrangements for one of them. Tom and I discussed it that night in the hospital cafeteria. His mother had offered to take Amelia for a while, but that felt like we were giving up on her. Sending Audrey away wasn't an option. She needed her medical equipment and routine. Maybe I should take Audrey to a hotel for a few days, I suggested, just until we can get Amelia evaluated by the specialist. Tom looked broken. How did we get here, Jen? How did we miss the signs? I didn't have an answer. I just reached across the table and held his hand, both of us crying silently in the fluorescent light of the empty cafeteria. When Audrey was finally discharged, we went home to pack some things before heading to a hotel. Amelia was sitting on the couch when we walked in, looking smaller and younger than her 15 years. Is Audrey okay? She asked, her voice barely audible. She will be, I said, keeping my distance. We're going to stay at a hotel for a few days while she recovers. Amelia's head snapped up. You're leaving me? Grandma's going to stay with you, Tom explained. It's just for a little while, until Audrey's stronger. This is because you think I hurt her. It wasn't a question. You're choosing her over me. Again. Amelia, someone gave Audrey cough medicine. The doctors found it in her system. She could have died. My voice cracked. The cameras show you in our room that night. She stood up, her face contorted with anger and something else. Fear, maybe. So what? I check on her sometimes. That doesn't mean I poisoned her. Then who did? Tom asked, his patience finally breaking. Who else was in the house? Who else would know exactly what medication would hurt her the most? Amelia looked from Tom to me, then to Audrey in my arms. For a split second, I saw something in her eyes. Not remorse exactly, but awareness. She knew we knew. Then she ran to her room and slammed the door. Tom's mother arrived an hour later. We gave her strict instructions not to leave Amelia alone in the house and to call us immediately if anything seemed off. Then we left for the hotel, my heart breaking all over again as I buckled Audrey into her car seat. In the rearview mirror, I could see Amelia watching us from her bedroom window. Her expression was blank, unreadable. I raised my hand in a small wave, but she just turned away. As we drove off, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were leaving something important behind. Not just our home, but the family we used to be. The family I'd tried so hard to make perfect. We'll figure this out, Tom said, reaching for my hand. We'll get her help. We'll fix this. I nodded, but I wasn't sure anymore. Some things, once broken, can never be put back together the same way, and I was terrified that our family might be one of those things. We checked into this budget hotel about 15 minutes from our house. Nothing fancy, just a room with 2 queen beds and a tiny kitchenette. I set up Audrey's portable nebulizer on the desk while Tom brought in the rest of our stuff. It felt so weird unpacking our toothbrushes in this strange bathroom, like we were on some twisted family vacation. I kept checking my phone every 5 minutes. Tom's mom texted that Amelia was in her room with the door closed, refusing to come out for dinner. I felt this awful mix of worry and relief. Worried about what was going through Amelia's head, but relieved she wasn't near Audrey. That first night in the hotel, I barely slept. Every time Audrey coughed, I shot up in bed to check on her. Tom tossed and turned too. Around 3 a.m., he whispered, maybe we should look into residential treatment for Amelia. The words hung in the darkness between us. Residential treatment. Sending our daughter away. I couldn't even respond. The next morning, we met with Dr. Patel's colleague, Dr. Bruce Hoffman. He was this older guy with thick glasses and a gentle voice. We sat in his office while Audrey played with toys on the floor, and we told him everything. The nebulizer, the powder, the cough medicine, all of it. What you're describing sounds like a severe attachment disorder complicated by jealousy and possibly emerging personality issues, he said. Amelia feels replaced by Audrey, and in her mind, removing Audrey would restore her place in the family. So she's trying to call her sister? Tom asked bluntly. Dr. Hoffman adjusted his glasses. I wouldn't jump to that conclusion without evaluating Amelia directly. She may not fully understand the consequences of her actions. In her mind, she might just be trying to make Audrey sick enough that you'll send her away, not necessarily call her. Somehow that didn't make me feel any better. I'd like to see Amelia as soon as possible, Dr. Hoffman continued. In the meantime, your current arrangement, keeping the girls separated, is appropriate. We scheduled an appointment for Amelia for the next day. Tom would bring her while I stayed at the hotel with Audrey. On the drive back, Tom got a call from his mom. Mom. Amelia had locked herself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. She'd been in there for over an hour. We need to go home, Tom said, making a U-turn. Now, my heart was pounding the whole way there. What if she hurt herself? What if this was all too much for her? I might have been terrified of what she'd done, but she was still my baby. When we got to the house, Tom's mom was standing outside the bathroom door, knocking and pleading with Amelia to open up. I handed Audrey to her and took over. Amelia, it's Mom. Can you please open the door? Silence. Honey, we're worried about you. We just want to know you're okay. More silence. Then finally, her voice, small and broken. Go away. Go back to your hotel with Audrey. I'm not leaving until I know you're okay. Please open the door. Why do you care? You think I'm a monster. I leaned my forehead against the door, fighting back tears. I don't think you're a monster, Amelia. I think you're hurting, and I'm so sorry I didn't see how much. The lock clicked. The door opened just a crack. I could see one of Amelia's eyes peering out at me. Her face was blotchy from crying. You left me, she whispered. I know, and I'm sorry. But Amelia, we need to talk about what's been happening with Audrey. She opened the door a little wider. I didn't mean to hurt her that bad. I just wanted her to go away for a while. My blood ran cold. It was the first time she'd admitted it directly, without twisting the truth or blaming someone else. Can we talk in your room? I asked, aware of Tom's mom and Audrey just down the hall. She nodded and led the way to her bedroom. I texted Tom, who was waiting in the car, to come inside. When he joined us in Amelia's room, she was sitting cross-legged on her bed, picking at a loose thread on her comforter, just like she'd done in Dr. Patel's office. Amelia, Tom said gently, sitting beside her. We need to understand what's been going on. She didn't look up. You already know. You have it all on camera. We want to hear it from you, I said, sitting on her other side. Why, Amelia? Why would you try to hurt Audrey? She was quiet for so long I thought she wasn't going to answer. Then she said, I didn't want to hurt her. Not really. I just wanted things to go back to how they were before. Before Audrey? Tom asked. She nodded. You guys were different then. Mom was happy. She wasn't always tired and stressed. We did stuff together. And then Audrey came and it was like I disappeared. So you put water in her nebulizer, I prompted, and detergent on her sheets, and gave her cough medicine. I just wanted her to be sick enough that you'd have to send her away, like to a special hospital or something. Her voice was so matter-of-fact it made my skin crawl. I looked up what would make her CF worse without actually culling her. Tom and I exchanged horrified glances over her head. She'd researched this, planned it. Amelia, Tom said, his voice shaking. Audrey could have died from what you did. The cough medicine especially, it's extremely dangerous for CF patients. She finally looked up, her eyes wide. No, it said online it would just make her symptoms worse. I didn't give her that much. Honey, she ended up in the ICU, I said. The doctor said if we'd brought her in even an hour later, she might not have made it. Amelia's face crumpled. She started sobbing, these gut-wrenching sobs that shook her whole body. I didn't want her to die. I just wanted her to go away so things could go back to normal. I pulled her into my arms, my own tears falling into her hair. I was horrified by what she'd done, but in that moment all I could see was my little girl, lost and desperate for the life she used to have. We have an appointment for you tomorrow with a doctor who can help, Tom said, rubbing her back. His name is Dr. Hoffman. Am I going to jail? She asked between sobs. No, sweetheart, I said quickly, but you need help, professional help that your dad and I can't give you. She cried herself to sleep in my arms, something she hadn't done since she was little. Tom and I tucked her in, then went to the living room where his mom was playing with Audrey. What happens now? She asked. I shook my head. I don't know. Tom and I decided I'd stay at the house with Amelia that night while he took Audrey back to the hotel. I slept in Amelia's room, on a sleeping bag on the floor. Every time I woke up, I checked to make sure she was still there, still breathing. The next morning, Tom came back and we all went to see Dr. Hoffman together. Audrey stayed with Tom's mom at the hotel. Dr. Hoffman spoke with Amelia alone first, then with all of us. Amelia has been very honest with me, he said. She's admitted to tampering with Audrey's medications and belongings with the intent to make her sick enough to be sent away. She insists she didn't want to cause permanent harm or death. Do you believe her? Tom asked. Dr. Hoffman looked thoughtful. I believe she believes that, but the behaviors she's describing are extremely concerning. They show a lack of empathy and poor impulse control that needs immediate intervention. What kind of intervention? I asked, dreading the answer. I'm recommending a 30-day inpatient assessment at Oakley Behavioral Health Center. It's a facility that specializes in adolescent mental health issues. They can provide the intensive therapy and monitoring Amelia needs right now. Amelia's face went pale. You're sending me away? For a whole month? It's not punishment, Amelia, Dr. Hoffman said gently. It's treatment. You'll have individual therapy every day, group therapy, and a full psychiatric evaluation. The goal is to help you develop healthier coping mechanisms and address the underlying issues that led to these behaviors. She looked at us, tears streaming down her face. Mom, Dad, please don't make me go. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, looking my daughter in the eye and telling her she had to go. But I knew it was necessary. For her, for Audrey, for all of us. We admitted Amelia to Oakley the next day. The facility was nicer than I expected, more like a boarding school than a hospital. Her room had a twin bed, a desk, and a small window. She was allowed to bring some personal items, photos, her favorite blanket, a few books. Saying goodbye was awful. She clung to me like she used to when she was little and afraid of the dark. I promised to visit every day during visiting hours. Tom promised to bring her favorite snacks. We both told her we loved her over and over. As we walked out without her, I felt like the worst mother in the world. Tom held my hand so tight it hurt, but I needed that pain to keep from falling apart completely. We moved back home that night. Audrey's crib went back in her own room, but we kept the baby monitor turned up to maximum volume. I checked on her constantly, still paranoid something would happen. The first week of Amelia's treatment was rough. She refused to participate in group therapy and barely spoke in her individual sessions. When we visited admitted she either cried the whole time or gave us the silent treatment. Dr. Hoffman assured us this was normal, that she was processing a lot of difficult emotions. By the second week, things started to shift. She began opening up in therapy. She told us about feeling invisible after Audrey was born, about how she tried to get our attention in positive ways first, getting good grades, helping around the house, but nothing seemed to work. It was like Audrey was this black hole that sucked up all the love and attention, she told us during one visit. I felt like I didn't matter anymore. Hearing that broke my heart all over again, because she was right. We had let her slip through the cracks. We'd been so consumed with Audrey's medical needs that we'd failed to see Amelia drowning right in front of us. By the third week, Amelia was actively participating in all her therapy sessions. Dr. Hoffman reported significant progress in her understanding of her actions and their consequences. She was developing empathy exercises and learning healthier ways to express her feelings. I think we're on the right track, he told us, but this isn't something that will be fixed in 30 days. Amelia will need ongoing therapy after discharge, and your whole family will need to participate in healing. We started family therapy sessions twice a week. It was hard and messy, and sometimes we all ended up crying. But slowly, we began to rebuild trust. Tom and I learned how our focus on Audrey had affected Amelia. Amelia learned how her actions had traumatized all of us. When the 30 days were up, we brought Amelia home. Things were different. We had strict rules in place. She wasn't allowed to be alone with Audrey. All medications were kept in a locked cabinet. We still had cameras in the common areas of the house, but other things were different too. I made sure to spend one-on-one time with Amelia every day, even if it was just 30 minutes of watching TikToks together or helping with homework. Tom took her out for daddy-daughter dinners once a week. We both made a point of celebrating her achievements no matter how small. Audrey's health improved steadily. Without the sabotage, her CF was manageable with her regular treatments. She started walking and talking more, developing her own little personality that made us all laugh. 6 months after Amelia came home, we had our final session with Dr. Hoffman. He was pleased with her progress, but emphasized that recovery was ongoing. Amelia has done remarkable work, he said, but trust takes time to rebuild, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're all committed to the process. On the drive home, Amelia asked if she could hold Audrey's hand in the back seat. It was the first time she'd asked to interact with her sister like that. I watched them in the rearview mirror, Amelia gently holding Audrey's tiny hand, Audrey babbling happily. "I'm sorry," Amelia whispered, so quietly I almost didn't hear it. She wasn't talking to us, she was talking to Audrey. I caught Tom's eye. He'd heard it too. Neither of us said anything. We just drove home, together, as a family that was broken, but slowly healing. It's been a year now. Amelia is still in therapy, but down to once a week. She's made new friends at school and joined the debate team. Audrey is 3 and thriving, her CF managed as well as can be expected. We still have the cameras up, but I check them less often now. Last week I walked into the living room and found Amelia reading a book to Audrey. They were cuddled up on the couch, Audrey hanging on every word. When they saw me, they both smiled. I don't know what the future holds for us. Audrey's CF means we'll always be dealing with medical issues. Amelia's recovery is ongoing with good days and bad. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like we might actually be okay. Not perfect, never perfect, but okay, and for now that's enough.